John, that reminds me, you had mentioned how Donald Trump would say, well, we're going to keep calling them illegal immigrants anyway. I saw this clip from JD Vance. This is the one I was going to bring up at the beginning of the show, and I thought Ate was going to be a little bit behind, but it's like a 2-minute clip of JD Vance being asked about the Haitian immigrants because they keep calling them illegal when they very obviously are not. So
Right.
I wanted to share that with you guys here. See what James Donald Vance has to say.
What's his name?
I don't know.
Hi, Senator. Mia McCarthy with Politico. Question for you about the Haitian migrants in Springfield. So I know you've talked a lot about how we need to deport illegal aliens, but I wanted to ask you, the majority of the Haitians in Springfield came under TPS, so they are here legally. And I know you've expressed a lot of your issues with the TPS program and wanting to change that under a Trump-Vance administration. But I guess my question for you is, if you become the vice president under a Trump administration, what will you guys do about the migrants that are already there, since they did arrive legally? And a follow-up to that, if you plan to deport them, how would you do that legally?
Well, look, this is a media and Kamala Harris fact check that I want to clarify and clear up right now. And here's now, the media loves to say that the Haitian migrants, hundreds of thousands of them, by the way, 20,000 in Springfield, but hundreds of thousands of them all across the country, they are here legally. And what they mean is that Kamala Harris used two separate programs, mass parole and temporary protective status. She used two programs to wave a wand and to say, we're not going to deport those people here. Well, if Kamala Harris waves the wand illegally and says these people are now here legally, I'm still going to call them an illegal alien. An illegal action from Kamala Harris does not make an alien legal. That is not how this works.
So I want to interject right here that is exactly how this works. JD Vance, like literally by the book, like temporary protective status.
Legality works.
yeah. Like temporary protective status wasn't just something conjured up by Kamala Harris, a few years ago, specifically to apply to Haitian immigrants. We use it all the time for people that are generally seeking asylum, and it's like the lowest rung, by the way, like of legal immigration. Like there's a whole lot more higher categories that offer more benefits and stuff. And he's like, yeah, they're legal, but I'm gonna keep calling them illegal. Yeah, this is like they just don't give a shit.
Go ahead, Ate.
I'm always I'm always at a constant like teeter-tottering between like, haha, this is comically funny, and this is genuinely terrifying. Like when we're speaking about Republican politicians in today's age, because to get on a national stage, dude, and to be like, bro, I don't give a fuck if they're legal immigrants.
Yep.
Dude, they're fucking aliens. It's crazy. And to like have roaring applause, right? And I don't know if this is me just like being nostalgic about a time that I wasn't even born in, but I would like to have believed that there was a point in US politics where a Republican would say something like that and that would like generally not be seen as like even remotely an okay thing to say. Like the thing with John McCain, where the person goes up and is like, I don't trust Obama because he's a Muslim, and he's like, Obama's a cool guy, relax, right? That was a time in which it was a lot less scary for the state of democracy than we are in now, where we can see this moment play out and we get here and we laugh, oh, JD Vance is so stupid, but he's literally saying that to his audience of I don't know how many thousands and I don't know how many hundreds of thousands watching the screen. It does not matter if these, black and brown people came here legally. It does not matter if they are, their status technically, they are dirty, they are stinky, and they are not welcome. And that is something that is going to result in a lot of real world violence. And that is scary to think about. Like on top of it being like comically stupid, it's also like, damn, if I was Haitian right now, I'd be very scared of the rhetoric being spewed day in and day out.
I hate it. It might be recency bias, guys. It might be recency bias, but genuinely, the feelings of disgust about this particular action of Donald Trump has been worse than anything Donald Trump has ever done in my mind. Like the going and just saying, yeah, we're going to admit that we are lying about this community of like essentially asylum seekers who legally entered this country, who also drastically improved the GDP of a town that was previously dying because of the opioid epidemic. And we're going to say we're going to deport them anyway and call them illegal aliens. We're going to say this with a straight face. It's like, it's disgusting. Like, it's terrible. Every single goddamn Republican, whoever was in my mention saying, no, it's just the illegal immigrants. Where the fuck are you to call this shit out? Because if you're not calling this shit out, it wasn't just the illegal immigrants. Because you're even the fucking moral argument that they make is like, oh, well, if they were good, upstanding people, they would have followed the laws and come here. It's like they did. These people did that. Yep. You might argue that those laws were unjust, that Kamala Harris shouldn't, or fuck, it's not Kamala Harris. It was Joe Biden. Fuck you, JD Vance. I can't believe I just went But you might believe that like the Biden administration shouldn't have let them in legally, but they did. These immigrants immigrated legally. There is no doubt about that. So you cannot make this moral argument. These are criminals who came into this country and broke our law. No, they did not. They did not do that. It's just a falsification of reality. And no one is calling them and that's the other problem. The Democrats aren't. If Kamala Harris ain't going to fucking Springfield and standing with the Haitians now, is she? Because she's goddamn terrified of immigration. Because Biden has been just as fucking bad as any Republican president in our lifetimes when it comes to immigration, and they're terrified of it, and they won't do the right thing. So it just keeps getting worse. We're watching the slippery slope to ethnic cleansing happen before our eyes, and no one is saying, "Hey, maybe we should stop this."
Yeah, it is like going back to what we were talking about with Israel and how comfortable people seem to be with civilian casualties. It turns out people were bullshitting when they said they thought ethnic cleansing was bad, because apparently it's all like people can't get enough ethnic cleansing. And even when you describe to them, well, that's ethnic cleansing, it's like, well, it has to happen. Like they with no shame about it whatsoever. And what's really bad, I say you were talking about how, people say, well, JD Vance is, comically evil and everything, or JD Vance is stupid. What's really bad is that we all know JD Vance is not stupid. Like he's not Donald Trump. Like JD Vance knows what he's saying, and he knows it's wrong, and he admits it. That's the wild. This is like, so I don't think it is recency bias, because I'm sure you guys have seen that clip of, I think it was 1979 or 1980, and it was the Republican primaries between George Bush Sr. and Ronald Reagan, and they're talking about immigration. It's like the most like hippie shit you've ever heard. They're like, well, these are good, decent people, and we need to, bring them into society and get them trained in school.
Way better than the blacks we got here.
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, it's not like
that's really what they were on.
I know, right? That's what it's like. Well, I've seen worse, but it's and Reagan granted amnesty for what, 4 million illegal immigrants in the 80s, like something unthinkable today. Like like JD Vance was like, oh, well, just because Reagan waved his magic wand and made them legal doesn't make them legal. Well, it turns out it does. And so the fact that he admits that he's lying about the status of the Haitian immigrants, but also he admitted like the lie about the eating the pets thing. Because when they do confront him, he's like, what did he say? He said, well, listen, if I have to make up a story to get people to pay attention to Springfield, Ohio, I'm going to do it. Which, what the fuck?
It's just like, big enough and people will believe it. Like that's it's Joseph Goebbels incarnate.
Yeah,
like he said straight face, like, yeah, I'm capping. And
I've never seen anyone do that. And JD Vance has done it twice, like in a week, where he's like, yeah, I lie. What are you gonna do about it? And I saw someone comment here, because I noticed this too. Look at the boomers behind Vance blindly nodding their heads. Yes, because when JD Vance, when the reporter was asking, well, these immigrants are legal, all the boomers were like, nope. No, so how do you fucking know? Like you guys did, you guys couldn't explain the difference between like, you know, temporary protected status or a work
They
permit or a
couldn't
green
name
card.
the
You don't know
three
shit.
branches of government.
No chance. No
I
fucking
believe that.
chance. It's
And
embarrassing.
it all goes down into the same thing we always talk about, right? It's all the same. The Overton window has shifted significantly in a way that is really, really hard to ignore. The ideas being spewed out today, that are like at the very least acceptable, and some of the ones that are celebrated are unthinkable. Were unthinkable 20, 30 years ago in just every facet of social politics, as well as like actual governmental politics, like LGBTQ ideas, concepts of like drag queens and drag shows are now suddenly like the worst thing to have ever been created. The ideas that are being talked about now, what is being said, and this I attribute largely to Trump, because he packaged it in this like really funny, sort of somewhat charismatic and so silly that we didn't take him seriously enough attitude that it actually became mainstream. And this is something that I wanted to point out earlier when we were talking about how there's nobody that's going to be able to replace Trump, because a lot of the Trump's fan base aren't even like establishment Republican people
No.
or people with even Republican views. They're like, I know people from I used to go to school with that just like Trump because A, he gave us stimulus checks, and A, he's funny. And I'm voting Trump because he's funny. He valid. He says this, that, and the third. That's what, you know what I'm saying? He's entertaining. And so the idea is that what's being said flies over the heads of the people who would ultimately like disagree, and over the people who do agree are left completely open to just continue piling on and piling on and piling on, because most people don't take it seriously enough to actually step up and be like, whoa, this is scary. This is real scary rhetoric. At least that's my theory on it.
I want to add real quick, John, for you, but I love when people say, I'm going to vote for Trump because he gave the stimulus check. Because Trump gave a $600 stimulus check. Biden gave you a $1,200 stimulus check. Like literally double what Trump gave you. And I've never heard people like, well, I'm voting for Biden because of the stimmy. I've never heard that, but I always hear it for Trump. And it's so strange. Like, I don't understand how that happens, but I don't know.
I heard someone the other day, TJ, they were like, I was going to vote for Biden, but I really don't like Kamala, so I'm going to vote for Trump. And my brain short circuited. I was like, and this was a Hispanic immigrant woman, and I was like, what are you smoking?
Man,
it was weed, but like it still weed. Confused me.
Still inexcusable. All right. I want to close this out here. Mark Louderback, a friend of the show, he wrote, TJ, power is taken, or power is not given, it's taken. If you got to lie, you got to lie. I figured you would approve. So here's the thing, Mark. Lying about good things is good. Lying about bad things is bad. Like if you're gonna lie to protect, your Jewish neighbor from the Nazis, that's a good lie. That lie is perfectly fine. Yeah, a lie saying that Haitians are stealing your animals and sacrificing them to Molech. No, that's a bad lie. So that's my point here. Because I don't know.
And also, TJ, there is a difference between lying to get power and lying and admitting you are lying to get power. That's stupid. It's not even like, I actually don't like, I'm not going to hate on JD Vance for that. Like I'm going to be like, JD Vance is doing what he needs to do. Like he's got a plan. He's following the plan and he's executing the plan. The people who hear that and don't immediately go, fuck you, that's what I have a problem with. I don't understand how you can hear a man go, yeah, no, I know I'm lying and I'm doing it intentionally for this purpose. And the purpose is to deport millions of innocent people. And I'm going to keep doing it. And then just, we're going to go along with that guy.
Well, that's what I'm... go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think when we like, it's the people that don't look at that, and don't immediately register it as bullshit. And I think I've stopped giving credit to the average American. Like I've stopped giving like that much credit to the average American, or not even just the average American, but the people who are listening to that and don't immediately call bullshit. There's a reason they don't call bullshit. It's because They don't care. They don't give a fuck. It's rooted in racism. You know, like there's really no way around it. They're looking for JD Vance isn't special in him being like, if I have to lie about immigrants to make them look bad in the public eye so that I could justify mass deportation, then I'm gonna do it. That is something that is a policy that a lot of his fan base, a lot of the Republicans, a lot of the conservatives in the United States today would wholeheartedly be like, yeah, sure, I'm down, because we've seen it play out with so many minority communities throughout the inception of the United States, right? From the savage, cannibal justification for the genocide of the Native American people to the like hood drug dealing, welfare mammy, justification for increased policing in black neighborhoods. It's always been, the bottom line is like racism, right? Like, and then you apply whatever flimsy logic you can on top of it. But even if you dismantle the logic, even if you argue with them and you say, well, that sounds like bullshit, right? It doesn't matter. You're not going to win the debate by being factual and intelligent and logical. That's not how this works. You know what I mean? And that's just where we are.
I've been doing exactly that. Like I've been like, because what I like to do to make my content is I like to battle out in the comments and just pull as many bad arguments to argue against that I can. I use it as a research tool, but I try and get to the end with some of these people. And like, I've been trying to be like, so like, what evidence do you have that these immigrants are harming this community in Springfield? Because all of the evidence says, no, Springfield is way better off than it was 10 years ago because of these immigrants. And they're like, no, don't you see, bro? Like, it's obvious. And it's like, what do you mean it's obvious? Like, and they can't admit that, they just think Haitians are worse people. Yeah. And they cannot admit, and you see the fucking people. You see the Haitian dude, the normal able-bodied Haitian dude walking around the factory. It's like, that just looks like any other dude. And then you see the people complaining about the Haitian dude. It's like, that's a fucking crackhead. And like, it's every single time. And it's the only way that they don't see that is they're only looking at the skin color, because it's every single time.
Yeah. They when they say it's obvious, it's gotten worse. It means the population is a lot less white and a lot less American born, and that's bad. Like that's the actual problem. It's just at the current moment, at least, it's impolite to say this in proper society that you just want the country to be white, native born Americans. They haven't gotten that far yet. They allude to it, but so like John and what I was confused about when you said that. With JD Vance saying this, he's doing what he has to do. This seems like the opposite, though, because like if you're gonna lie, the first step is to not admit it's a lie. Like when George Soros pays us all the money to do this show, like the instructions are like, don't say that you're lying to the audience. Keep that, close to the chest right there. So like JD Vance just admitting that I think there's a reason no one's done this before, where it's like, hey, just so you know, it's a lie. And now your fans are going to believe it, but the people on on the fence at all, like, oh, this guy's an admitted liar. That's not cool. And that's the part that confused me.
TJ, John, are you going to let him sneak that in there? Like, I just want to know, are you going to let him sneak that one in there? Or is this
the George? No, I'm not going to mention it. The instructions were very clear. No, so
the instructions were very clear.
When TJ's know what happens if we but no, so TJ, this is, sometimes I put takes out there and I'm like, I feel that this is true.
Yeah.
I don't know it's true, but I'm putting this take out there. And sometimes I wish that it's not true.
Yeah.
As soon as JD Vance was on the ticket, I remember putting this out there. It's like, it's well known that like he compared Trump to Hitler. And I think I said this on the show. I definitely put it on Threads that he compared Trump to Hitler. He saw the weakness of Joe Biden and the Democratic Party at the time and was like, well, if Hitler's going to win, I'm going to be on his side. And if you look at his playbook, it's straight the fuck out of like Joseph Goebbels. Like it is Nazi style propaganda. It is, and like, this isn't like some like, oh my God, this fucking, he used the same words. He calls these people vermin. It's blood and soil rhetoric. And that is the playbook. And so like, TJ, you're right. Under normal circumstances, That would be insane. And back in 2016, you couldn't have gotten away with this shit. And even in 2020, you couldn't have gotten away with this shit. But at this point, it's escalated so far that like we are at that point. Like we are at the point where Donald Trump is on the debate stage. And I thought this was very telling. It's something that a lot of people didn't talk about the debate. But Donald Trump is on the debate stage and he's talking about Project 2025. And he's done this multiple times now where he says, I haven't even read it. And like the thing that we've joked about is like, well, if you haven't read it, how do you know you don't support it? But a little bit deeper than that, he's admitting that he's strategically not reading it so he can have plausible deniability.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The playbook is right there. They're saying, hey, I'm doing a con on you. And I'm doing it in order to accomplish these goals. And if you support me, you have to go along with the con, and everyone's going along with the con, knowing it's a con. So JD Vance is just the next natural step of that. He honestly tried to be a little like normal, and he did.
He started out trying to be normal.
If you haven't, I don't know if you know, but he's been way more all over the place. Like he has been out there. He's been the face of this campaign ever since the debate. And the reason is because he's doubling the fuck down. And Trump likes that. And so he gets more airtime. Like that's what I say. He's doing what he has to do. Trump was saying, I don't talk to this guy. And suddenly he's all over the place. Why do you think that is? Because he's saying, I'm going to lie about the immigrants and people are going to eat it up. Guys, you made it to the end of this episode. This has been a wonderful, I don't even know what you just watched because we talked about so many topics today. But I hope you had a good time. If you did, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. And if you liked our guest, the wonderful Destructo Hugo, like we had multiple comments saying today. Destructo, where can people find you?
Yeah, man. Thanks once again for having me on. I had literally messaged. I don't know if TJ told you, but I was like, I haven't argued. I haven't just ranted about politics in a while, bro. Let me get on the fucking podcast. What am I doing? I fucking love it here. And so if you wanna, this is really because I've tailored my content now to be more sort of like cinema focused. So this is one of the places where I get to just like speak unabashedly about politics. But if you would like to see my left wing centered takes on art, cinema, TV, pop culture, and things of that nature, then you can find me on TikTok at DestructoJugo. You can also find some of my more longer form videos on YouTube at DestructoJugo, and you can find me as well on Instagram, in the same name.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ate. We appreciate you coming to the show. Folks, we appreciate you watching us. This show does not suck, but if you watch one of our segments, you'll find out about an associate of Trump who absolutely does. So we'll catch you guys next time. See you around. Thanks for joining.